Hey you guys, what's up? It's your girl Cree. Welcome back to another video. You guys, in today's video I will be sharing with you all of the perfumes that I have tried, the best and worst of 2025. I wanted to have it around the ballpark of 25 or 26, so we'll see. Some of these fragrances will be fragrances that I picked up, and then some will be some that I tested in store and decided to pass on. They will all have been released in 2025. That sounds like something that you guys are interested in seeing. You want to hear my thoughts, you want to see what I grabbed, what I let go of, and why. You're in the right place. Please do like the video, and with no further ado, let's get into the video. First fragrance that I believe I picked up at the top of this year. You know, while I was putting together my notes for this video, one thing dawned on me. I had not picked up a whole lot this year, not from this year. So most of the fragrances that I picked up were from previous years, whether it be last year or years prior to that. So I did not pick up a whole bunch that was released in 25. I guess that's a good thing, but that's probably because I shop at a discount, so I don't get things when they first release. I let the hype die down most of the time, and then I'll, you know, come back around to it. So just as a forewarning. So the ones that are on here that actually stayed, you'll know that was really a hit. But if I tried it and it's gone and it hasn't come back, then you know I probably didn't like it. First fragrance up that I tried this year that actually did not work out for me, you guys, is one from the 7 Virtues, and this was Clementine Dream. I don't have the fragrance any longer because it did not work out for me. That fragrance, from what I recall, I thought it was marketed to be something like a creamy orange creamsicle type vanilla fragrance. That's what I thought it was going to be. Much to my dismay, it was just like a burst of clementine. It was very bright and zesty from what I recall, but in the dry down I picked up notes that weren't even listed. I picked up a strong neroli. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I still have that video up on my channel. It just didn't work out for me. I didn't care for the dry down, and it was a far cry from a orange creamsicle fragrance, so I immediately returned it. And so that is the first dud of the year. Following that release, I picked up this Valentino Extra Dose, and I believe that was said to have like blackcurrant, rum, and bourbon vanilla maybe in the base. I don't remember, you guys. I didn't study before this video, so I don't even remember. It was earlier in the year, but I do recall when I first picked up that fragrance, I didn't love it. Did not love it at all. I felt like it was redundant. It seemed like it was a spin on one of the previous Valentinos, and it seemed like everybody felt like it was a play on something else. Like one of the Valentinos, they felt like it was playing off of, whether it be the original or the Intense or Pink PP, what have you. For me, I felt like it was very similar to the Intense, but with an added like coconutty rum type of vibe. I remember getting that very strong in that fragrance. Some people also detected berries, which I didn't, but I have since come around to that fragrance, and I am very happy to say I actually have it here. You guys, it is empty. I have emptied this. I emptied this a long time ago, months ago at this point, and actually, oh look, just enough. Yeah, this is a goodie, you guys. I have since grown to adore this fragrance, and I actually have a bottle on the way because I would like to have this in my collection for sure. This is one I do find it to be quite sexy, just like the Intense, but it doesn't lean as heavy as the Intense. This is a little more playful. I will say this is one of the sweetest of the Donna Born aromas that I've ever owned. That rum just really gets really sweet up in there, but I really like this. I enjoyed this, and I think this was a version that you could kind of wear in the summer and in the fall, because like I feel like it could be a good nighttime fragrance in the summertime. That coconutty rum type of vibe gave me somewhat of a tropicalness that I like. So yeah, that was a win. Another fragrance that was actually just recently re-released that I picked up this year. It wasn't originally released in 25, but it did just come back out, so I felt like it was okay to be put on this list. That fragrance is Musk 12, and that is from Kayali. Musk 12 was actually a really nice scent. To me, it was more of a skin scent, which is kind of to be expected with that type of DNA, a musk. It was something like a floral, in the sense of, if you guys have ever smelled like Phlur's Soft Spy or Father Figure, it was like that type of scent. It wasn't much to it. It was very soft. It was obviously a pretty white musk, and it had some floral components to it. I thought it was nice, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't something I was going to pull for. I knew that much. So I actually declared that probably within a month or so of having it. I think I tried it out or whatever, and it was cool, but I just didn't think it was necessary, and it didn't warrant the price in my opinion. So I let that go, but I know a lot of people love that fragrance. I don't feel any ways about it. It wasn't for me. This next fragrance got a lot of hype, and it is from the house of Ellis Brooklyn. Ellis Brooklyn released the fragrance, and of course now I'm sitting down to film and I can't find it, but it's okay. It's fresh in my mind. But you guys, Ellis Brooklyn released Guava Granita, and that is a fragrance that really took the internet by storm. Everyone seemed to have loved that fragrance, it seems. I only saw a few people that really didn't like it. I passed on it initially, and I waited all the way up until just recently. So like the last Sephora sale that they had, I decided to pick it up just in a travel size. I had tested it a few times in store, just didn't wow me enough to grab. And since getting the fragrance, I again have it in a travel size. I do enjoy that DNA. I actually have a video coming up where I want to compare it to another fragrance that I think is very similar to, but we'll get into that sometime in 2026. It was a very juicy, fruity DNA. One of those almost shampoo-y type of scents. For those who like a very bright, juicy, fruity perfume, you would like that. Guava was the leading note in that fragrance, or at least it was supposed to be. That was the selling point for most people, is the guava note. And you do pick up the guava in there, but I picked up a lot of melon in there, more than I felt like. I didn't even know that melon was in there, but yeah, I pick up melon in that fragrance as well as the guava. And they also had like a banana note. I didn't pick up so much of that, but I did get it like in the base. I remember it being very creamy down in the base. It was a little different than the opening, the dry down, like toned down that fruitiness. But after having it, I still don't quite feel like it's full bottle worthy for me. I think a travel will be enough. If I ever change my mind, I might pick it up. But yeah, that was a really nice fragrance release, and I think it was a hit amongst many this year. Yeah. Next fragrance that I picked up this year was an absolute hit. I have been hearing people talk about it left and right, and I recently got my nose on it and I had to have it. I first started out with a travel size, immediately upgraded to a full bottle because it was on sale around the holidays, and that is none other than DedCool's Mochi Milk. You guys, I'm going to give you a review on this. Just hold on. I know the girls are wanting to hear more about it, but ultimately, this is a very pretty marshmallowy rice milk peachy type of scent. Really nice. It's so creamy. It sits close to the skin, but I do think it has a little bit of lasting power. I enjoy it. I enjoy this fragrance. Again, this is DedCool's Mochi Milk, and we'll talk about that later. Next fragrance up that was also released this year that to me was the better option when it came to the Clementine dream type of vibe. This was released this year. This was by Nest, and it is called Creme de Clementine. And sis, my gosh, if I could ever recommend a true gourmand push-up pop orange creamsicle fragrance, it would be this. That is exactly what you get if you smell this fragrance. I recommend that everybody would test it in the store and try it on your skin first, because you know things can vary when it comes to that. But to me, this was spot on. This is a true orange creamsicle. This is what I've always looked for in a bottle. So I am so happy with this. Is one of my best purchases this year. Couldn't be more happy. Whenever I want that vibe like an orange creamsicle, this is what I'm going to be pulling for. And again, that is Nest Creme de Clementine. Next up, another fragrance that was recently released at the tail end of the year. This is Kayali's Musk Santal. You guys, if you don't know, this is a really pretty sort of clean musk type of vibe. To me, it is very hard to describe what this scent smells like. All I can tell you is that it smells like a very popular fragrance. To me, this smells very similar to PDM's Valaya. That's what I attribute it to in my mind. And it's just a very pretty, it's like an aldehydic, fresh citrus opening. in a woodsy base. It's very hard to describe, but if you know what PDM smells, if you know what Valaya smells like, or Phlur Narcotic, or fragrances similar to that, then you'll know what this smells like. And I think this is a hit because that's already a very popular DNA, and I knew that people would love this. When I realized how similar it was, I knew that this would probably be a hit, which is why Kayali likely released this first solely in the big bottle. Okay, and that is Freedom Musk Santal. Next fragrance up on the list that I picked up this year is going to be Ariana Grande's Love Notes Plush Vanilla. Plush Vanilla has the notes of vanilla macaron, cashmere woods, amber crystals. You guys, this to me is almost a spot on dupe for Phlur's Vanilla Skin, unfortunately. Phlur's Vanilla Skin. When I first picked this up, or when I first tested it in store, I didn't see the comparison. Then I went back, tried it again, and I saw the comparison, but I thought it also took a different turn. I thought it was a bit creamier, a bit sweeter. Thought it leaned more towards Charosa. What is it, 69? I can't even remember which one it is, but it's the one that's in that purple bottle like this. I thought maybe that one. Now that I own it and I've worn quite a bit of this, it's definitely giving the Phlur Vanilla Skin. It's not my favorite DNA, if I'm honest, but I picked this up at the Sephora sale. I got this in a double, so I had this and a travel size for 80 bucks. And of course, you know, this is bigger than the 3.4 ounce. I can't remember how much is in here. Ooh. 4.25 fluid ounces. So you're getting more. You're definitely getting more than the original Phlur fragrance that is $100. I think this 1.7. So this was definitely bang for your buck all the way around. So I'm not mad at it. If I had to have that DNA, I'm not mad at it being in this form, but I will just be honest with you and say it's not my favorite DNA, and I wouldn't get it again in this form or that form. So yeah, there's that. But this is Plush Vanilla, and if you do like that DNA, this is a really good option. I think this is just as good as any. Okay, and that is, again, Love Notes Plush Vanilla. In addition, while we're on the subject of Phlur Vanilla Skin, I actually did pick up a Dossier dupe this year that I wanted to mention to you that was inspired by Phlur Vanilla Skin, and that is Dossier's Powdery Vanilla. You guys, this was really good. It was an amazing dupe, and I have to say, this just me being honest, if I had to choose which one was more like spot on between this one and this one, I would pick the Dossier Powdery Vanilla. And I'm not sponsored, guys. I never have been. I pick up Dossier because I actually genuinely like their scents. It has the notes of pink pepper and apple, lily of the valley, brown sugar, white woods, vanilla, sandalwood, musk, and benzoin. It was a really good dupe, and I flew through it so quick, and I emptied it. So yeah, that's one of my empties for the year. I definitely think they did their big one on that. That was one of my first gourmand releases that I ever tried from Dossier. Well, outside of my ambery cherry. But yeah, that was my first like vanillic centered fragrance from Dossier, and I think they did a phenomenal job. While we're on the topic of vanillas, might as well pull this out. You guys, this was a hit this year, and I'm very pleased with this purchase, and I have made quite the dent. We're just gonna let the dent speak for itself. This is Victoria's Secret's Bare Sueded Vanilla. You guys, I have it in the largest bottle. I'm just above the Eau de Parfum side. I don't know if you can see it. You guys, this was just a beautiful, sexy, easygoing, everyday vanilla. This reminded me of Victoria's Secret Bare Vanilla with some added notes of saffron. It's a creaminess like sandalwood in there. And I believe it has milk in here, right? It's like a lactonic type of vibe. It's just very creamy and pretty and sweet and very likable. And it was just easy to reach for. I mean, it was an easy reach all year long. So I still recommend it. And this is Victoria's Secret Bare Vanilla Sueded. Bare Sueded Vanilla. Back to Dossier real quick. I want to mention to you guys, this was a new purchase and I've been loving it since I got it. Excuse the marks on here, guys. I actually just recently dropped my collection again, girl. Dinged it up a bit. But this is Dossier's Musky Violet, guys. And this is a dupe for Mojave Ghost by Byredo. And I have to admit, I love this. Love it. This has the notes of watermelon, green apple, and peach, violet leaf, iris, rose, and jasmine, musk, sandalwood, cedarwood, and vetiver. In my opinion, this gives a similar DNA to Marc Jacobs Daisy and Chanel Otandra, that fruity floral type of vibe. But if I'm honest, on this one particularly, I don't really pick up like distinct fruits. It's very well blended and it's just very pretty. It's like a pretty girl floral is what I call it. That would be a quintessential pretty girl floral. And so if you like scents like that, Original Daisy and Chanel Otandra, you absolutely like this. And the staying power is really good. So I am enjoying this thoroughly. And it was released this year, so that is one of my best of 25 for sure. The second to last fragrance that I picked up this year would be the Sweet Tooth Lemon Pie by Sabrina Carpenter. I have that. I actually have it put up. I didn't bring it down. I apologize, but I'll put up a picture. But that is supposed to be like lemon pie fragrance. It's supposed to be like a lactonic, creamy, graham cracker note, whipped cream, lemon pie. That's what the notes say. Unfortunately, I don't get that. That's not what I got. I got like a crusty graham cracker, unsweetened, with a hint of like Bath and Body Works Ice Lemon Pound Cake. It's like that vibe. That's the vibe that I got. I didn't have the best impression of that fragrance, but I do have it coming up in my upcoming giveaway. I decided to part ways with it and I'm just going to give it to a subscriber. So if you guys have not checked out my review on that, go back and check it out. If you comment down below, that's how you can be entered into my giveaway when I hit 5K. Just wasn't for me. Doesn't mean it won't be for you. So definitely check that out. I picked mine up at Ulta. Okay. And the very last fragrance that I picked up this year, my goodness, so many thoughts, so much. I absolutely, if nothing else, this has to go down as the best bottle of the year because it was just stunning. We all knew that we had to get our hands on it when it came out because it is just, it's gorgeous. And this is none other than the beautiful YSL Libre Vanille Couture. Gosh, I mean, look at that, man. Stunning. This fragrance, as I've had time to sit with it, my feelings have kind of changed from when I first got it. When I first got it, I honestly just picked it up for the bottle. I love Libres. I've always been a fan of the Libres, so it was no problem just getting it. But I had just re-upped on my previous bottles that I emptied, so I really didn't need it, if I'm being honest. I will say I am happy I got it, and since having it, I've been able to, you know, use it and spend some time with the fragrance, and I can honestly say I like it a lot more than I did then. I feel like this is not as strong or as potent as like the OG fragrance. You know, that one lasts forever. This one really isn't that. I think this one can be worn in more calmer settings. Dare I say, like work. I think this is the only Libre I would be okay with wearing to work because it's not too in your face, along with like maybe the EDT, but I've never gotten the EDT, but the Platine maybe. But I think you can wear this all seasons. To me, the only difference between this and like the original or any of the others, this one is not the sweetest to me. I still think Le Parfum holds it down as the sweetest. To me, this is vanilla heavy. And the vanilla in here just really comes out and is just intensified in the base. That's the best part of this. Like the dry down is where this excels for me. It's sublime in the dry down. The gripe that I have with this fragrance, to me, the opening leaves a lot to be desired because to me, the opening, for whatever reason, the lavender kind of comes off wrong. Like it's worse to me, the opening in this, just for me. This is just my experience. For me, the opening for this is way more screechy than even the original. I enjoy the original, but I also enjoy citrus. For me in here, the opening for some reason kind of comes off like celery. I don't know. It's just what I get. I've actually been getting that for a long time. I don't like the opening. Kind of comes off a little, it's a little off-putting, but the dry down is amazing. To the point where like this wouldn't give me a headache even when I overspray. The dry down won't. But I will say it just takes too long to get to the dry down to really appreciate it. Kind of wish they didn't have that opening and the dry down was all you got. But you know, ultimately this was one of the best purchases this year just based on the bottle alone. But scent wise, I do enjoy it. Of course, I've got my use out of it and she's going to stay until she's gone. I might even keep her after because the bottle is just everything. That said, okay, that is all for the purchases that I picked up this year. Guys, the one fragrance that I left out is the one that I absolutely adored when I first got it, and I still enjoy it, but y'all know I'm not on the gourmands right now. I've been on a freshy fragrance kick. Buttercream haze, absolutely love it. It gives me buttercream icing with like a lemon zesty type of vibe, and it does have a hint of maple in there. I absolutely adore it. It didn't get a lot of positive reviews. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people opted for Queen's Caramel. I'm not one, but that's what I got instead. So whether I decided to keep them or not, those are what I have spent my hard-earned coin on. Now we're going to get into a few purchases that I tried or tested in store probably several times, and I just decided that they weren't for me, or they weren't something that I needed to add at that time. And I just wanted to run them by you because I may or may not have ever even spoken to you guys about them. So if you guys are interested, let's get into that. All right, so right off the top, the very first fragrance that I skipped on that I remember going in store and trying is the Valentino Ivory. Okay, y'all remember that fragrance? The one that was supposed to have the marshmallow note? Yes, I remember going in store and testing that. And I've since tested it a few times since then. You guys, it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not. I think that was supposed to be like limited edition. Was it limited edition? I can't remember, but I know I've seen it like in the lineup when I go to Sephora. So I'm not sure if it is or not, but it just wasn't for me. I remember it being very orange blossom heavy. It wasn't my cup of tea. So I skipped on that. Another fragrance that I went countless times back to the store to smell. I remember specifically going to Macy's to try just that fragrance one day, and that is none other than Lancome Vanille Nude. First of all, I love the packaging. The packaging almost got me, guys, but I'm just trying to be better about just getting stuff not just for packaging like I did the YSL Libre. Lancome La Vie Belle is not a DNA that I like or enjoy at all. None of them. No disrespect to anybody who likes them. They're just not my cup of tea. So for me to get it just based off of the bottle alone was just crazy. You know what I mean? I could do that with YSL Libre because I love the Libres. But it's not my type of DNA, and it literally would have just been sitting there. I never would have pulled for it. So that's one reason I didn't pick it up. But I will say the scent itself was nice. It was pleasant, right? But I didn't feel like I got vanilla in the way I needed to get it. I got it, but it just wasn't giving the kind of vanilla that I needed it to give, if you know what I mean. Also, for me, I heard a lot of people saying that it was so different and they didn't think it even should be called like a flanker. It could have been a whole new fragrance, but that wasn't my experience. For me, it very well needed to be a flanker because to me, it was just a very much so lighter version of the original. Hey guys, so as you can see, this is a new day. I unfortunately lost a little bit of footage from my last video, and I wanted to still tap in and tell you guys the things that I didn't get to tell you in that one. I had to do this additional clip because I actually lost some of the footage from my last recording, and I absolutely did not want to post that video without this part being in there. So yeah, I'm going to try to remember everything that I said before. I think I left off on La Vie Belle Vanille Nude. So that fragrance, essentially, when it dried down, it bared a strong similarity to the rest of the La Vie Belle line. Once it dried down, I still could smell or detect that original La Vie Belle DNA. So I passed on that. Gucci Flora Gorgeous Gardenia Intense, I also went into the store to try, and it just isn't felt like I needed to add to my collection. I have that in the original form. I do feel like that one was more elevated, and it was definitely more on the intense side. It wears very similar though. It still smells very similar to the original, and I actually struggle to pull for that in my collection now. I'm actually trying to finish it up now, so I definitely didn't need to add that one to my collection, so I passed on that. But I do think it's a very pretty fragrance, and if you're someone who likes the original, then you'll definitely like that fragrance up that I decided to pass on that I did try in store was Flower Bomb Extreme. That was in that beautiful soft pink bottle. I don't really have any of the Flower Bombs in my collection because they're just not my cup of tea. I have tried several, and I've had about 3 in my collection since I've started my collection, but none of them have stayed. It's just really not a DNA that I love. Another fragrance that I went in store and tested is Fleur Majesty by Kayali. That was a fragrance that, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, when I went in store and tried that out, I thought the bottle was beautiful, and the scent in its opening when I first sprayed it, I enjoyed that as well. Y'all, as soon as I left the store, I kid you not, I gagged. If you aren't new on this channel, then you already know this. I am not the biggest fan of the Delina Delina Profile. Same goes for Delina La Rose and Exclusive, and I feel like that is a play on one of those, if not a couple of those, like Exclusive and La Rose. I think it's a very beautiful rose in there. It almost leans like an aquatic type of rose scent, and I love the opening, but I just can't get with that DNA. It really makes me physically ill. So I can't do it. Those are scrubbers. If you're someone who's looking for that Delina DNA, that like Delina La Rose type, and you don't want to pay that price tag, I think it's a great pickup. Some of you, I don't even know if I told you guys this on my channel, but I literally picked that fragrance up this year, Delina La Rose that is, and I immediately returned it because I was just like, what was I thinking? I can't do it. Like I can't. So yeah, I passed on that. Also, I tried the new Devotion that is in that beautiful pink bottle. I think that is called My Devotion. If I recall, that was more of like a floral fragrance. I think it had like a pear note in there, maybe some peony. It's a pretty fragrance, but it's very much so just not my cup of tea, not something I needed to add. It didn't wow me at all. Kind of put me in the mind of Good Girl Blush, the pink bottle. I don't have that. I don't care for that fragrance either. Not saying they smell alike. That's just what it put me in the mind of when I tried it. So of course I passed on that. Cherry Stem by Phlur. I also tried that in store, thinking maybe it would be a little bit different than Tom Ford Lost Cherry, which it was, but it's not different in a good way to me. I don't care for it. It was a lot going on in that fragrance. I think it may have had leather in there. I don't know, but I didn't like it at first sniff, so I definitely didn't want to grab that. I'm not the biggest fan of Phlur scents anyway. I also did try the Prada Paradox with the pistachio note in it. I think it might be called Radical Essence. I actually thought that was really nice in store. I definitely picked up a lot of that pistachio, which was interesting. You don't really hear a lot about like designer fragrances having that type of like gourmand, true gourmand facet to it. So it was interesting picking that up in that fragrance, and I really did like it. But of course, just because I like a fragrance doesn't mean I need to add it to my collection, because it doesn't mean I'm going to wear it. And that's what we're going for, fragrances I'm actually going to wear. Which brings me to the next one. That is the very last fragrance that's on this list. Is the reason why I had to add this in here, you guys. This fragrance, I went to the store about, I kid you not, 5 times to try this out, because there was just so much crazy hype around this fragrance. And I'm just like, I gotta go find out, like, what is it? Like, because I remember smelling it in the store the first time, thought nothing of it. I'm just like, it didn't wow me. I let it go. So yeah, several times I went to the store to try not only that, but other fragrances, but I always tried that one. And I remember the last 2 times I went to Sephora, I specifically knew that was one of the fragrances I wanted to test, to make sure when those 20% off sales came that I wasn't gonna grab it. And you guys, I tried it. And that is none other than Queen's Caramel by Ellis Brooklyn. Y'all, I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet. Queen's Caramel, I had already heard that it had a strong similarity to Bianco Latte. Typically, I mean, and I love Bianco Latte. You guys know I have that in my collection. However, I don't need anything else that smells like it until I'm done with what I have. I have the actual fragrance, and I still have a dupe that I've gotten a lot of wear out of, but I just don't need anything else like it. I'm not interested. Now, I will say, when I went and tested it that very last time, and I specifically went for that, I do feel like it is different. It's not exactly like Bianco Latte, but in the dry down, I pick it up, and once you know it and you smell that, I can't unsmell it. You know what I'm saying? So I smell that in the base, which is redundant for me. It's also very caramel heavy. It may even be sweeter than Bianco Latte and not lactonic. I also can tell that there's a maple note in there, which is fine, but I have the maple note that I need this year. Fragrance that I got that had caramel and maple, I chose already, is Buttercream Haze. That's what I liked. Okay, so I don't see a need to have them both. I'm not saying that I will never pick up that fragrance, or it'll never be something that I look forward to getting or want to try. It's just not pressing right now. I do think if you're someone who thinks Bianco Latte is a bit too much, maybe it's a little too spicy, maybe the coumarin doesn't sit right on you, whatever, what have you, and you want something maybe a little more light wearing, maybe then go for that. But that's not me. That's not what I need. Maybe even a summertime appropriate Bianco Latte. Maybe. Yeah, but even when people say that, it's like, for the summertime, do I want something that smells like maple? No. So for that reason, I skipped out on that fragrance. I do think it's nice, but it didn't wow me. Definitely does not, on me, it doesn't stand out amongst other fragrances that I have. So I hope that makes sense. Also, for the price tag of what Ellis Brooklyn is, I really need to like the fragrance unless I'm catching it on like a super sale, because why would I pay $100 or so for that when I can literally get so many different dupes? Or even that fragrance, the main fragrance, which is Bianco Latte, that it has remnants of, I can literally get that for the same price at this point. You can find that at discounters now. So I don't see it in my future, maybe a travel size, but nevertheless, that is why I never picked it up. I thought this would be interesting, you guys, not only telling you the ones that I picked up this year and why, but also the ones that I skipped that I may not have really had the time to come and bring to you and tell you my full thoughts. I go to the store all the time at this point and I smell a lot. Sometimes I don't even get to tell you all the fragrances that I've tried. I just left Sephora and I just wanted to give you my quick thoughts. I'm going to insert this in my upcoming video. Wanted to let you guys know how I felt about the new Burberry Her that just released this year to 2025. You guys know they came out with one last year, 24, and that was Burberry Her Intense. I think this one is called BurberryHerParfum, and I believe it has notes of cherry, maybe vanilla absolute, and amber. I'm not sure, don't quote me. I put it up there for you guys, but I just wanted to give you my quick thoughts while I literally just sprayed it on me and I'm letting it settle. I'm in the car on my way back home and I'm like, yeah, let me get my thoughts while they're clear just in case it doesn't last, even though I think it will. So far, this fragrance is coming off very strong. It does seem like it's going to pack a punch and have some lasting powers. That is a plus. It definitely is giving that quintessential Burberry Her DNA. It's not like last year's version. I don't know if you guys smelt that, but if you did, you guys know I love that down, but that is a little bit different of a take on the Burberry Her DNA, where this is kind of going back to the roots. This is more reminiscent to me of the Burberry Her Elixir version, so definitely more of a creamier version of Burberry Her. On initial spray, I got a huge burst of that cherry, and I was actually put in the mind of like a cherry chapstick. I don't know if you guys are going to like that or not, depending on your take on chapstick and how you feel about that smell. But if you know the cherry chapstick smell from when we were kids, I guess that quintessential cherry chapstick, that is the initial hit that I got. This was definitely more of a like bright cherry, not a dark or boozy cherry. So I just want to put that out there for you guys. Though it leans closer to the Burberry Her Elixir, I'm not really getting like a syrupy vibe. The scent itself is sort of dense, but it still has a like fluffy airiness to it. I enjoy how this smells, but I am so glad that I went into the store and tested this out, because I'm definitely not going to be picking it up in a full bottle or a travel size, which I was very tempted to do just to have it as a part of my collection. But yeah, trying to stay true to what I've told you guys, practicing what I preach. I went in store and I'm very glad that I did. Just saved myself $40. I believe the 1 ounce bottle retails for like $122, you guys. So this is not cheap at all. So you're definitely going to pay top dollar. You're going to want to test and like this fragrance before you just commit to buying it. At least that was my notions. Those are my takes. It's just wanted to give you guys my real and raw thoughts while they were fresh on my mind. I do think it's a nice fragrance. If you really love cherry, then you may like that. If the thought of having a cherry Burberry Her intrigues you, then maybe you want to test it out. I could not compare this to the original Burberry Her Intense. I know that was a favorite for many. I never got my hands on that. I've never tested it. As far as I know, that was more close to like the original DNA, the Burberry Her. I don't know what video I'm putting this in, but definitely wanted to give you guys my first impression. All right, back to the video. Those are all of my purchases. I'm going to give you guys a little clip at the end from my other video to close this out. But I hope you guys have a happy new year, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you picked up this year and what you skipped out on. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. Wishing you guys all peace, prosperity, health, and wealth this new year. See y'all 2026. Bye. Make sure you always look good and smell good. Sis, make sure you do it on a budget. Till next time. Happy New Year, guys.